Hello and good evening to everybody who is tuning in to watch Cinema and Chat. So today we have a very special guest. But before I get to our guest today, I would first of all like to thank you very much for tuning in to watch the live. And I would also like to give you a small introduction about what is Cinema and Chat. So the live show Cinema and Chat with Natila today is a small live show where we bring on top CEOs and top entrepreneurs all over the country, and we will interview them so that the audience, you guys who are watching the live, can get some inspiration from these top CEOs and get an inspiration from these entrepreneurs. So Cinema and Chat, where we bring on top CEOs and top entrepreneurs onto the show, and I will interview them. And by interviewing them, the audience who is watching the live can get a small inspiration from these top CEOs, and you can learn a lot of tips and tricks on how they became successful, and you can learn about their backstory and where they came from. Okay, so I'll bring on our guest today. Today our guest is Minodh De Sylva. He is the Group Director and Chief Business Officer of Island Tea Company. So without any further ado, let's bring on our guest today.
Hello, Natila. Good evening, and good evening to your audience as well.
Good evening. Good evening. So let's start off the live. I have a couple of questions prepared for you, sir, and I would like to get some good answers out of them so that our audience can and myself can learn a lot from you. So first of all, can you tell us about your school life and family? I would love to learn about that. So my first question to you was, can you tell us a bit about your school life and your family?
I think I schooled at St. Thomas's College in Mount Lavinia, right from kindergarten right up to A-levels. And I think family background is like I'm the only child in the family. And then my mom actually was a lawyer. Then she used to work in a state bank. And then my dad was in the police. And then he also was in the intelligence section of the defense ministry to the latter part of his career.
All right. So that's what your school life and family. All right.
Yes.
Am I correct? So that was a small introduction about your school life and your family. Now, there's a lot that happens after your school life. Obviously, we all grow older. We are not kids forever. So, what was your first like who did you want to be when you grew up? What was your first thought of who did you want to become when you grew older?
I think I must be honest. I mean, I didn't have a very specific sort of role that I wanted to, or rather, aspired to become. I think it kind of varied, I believe, with my age. And I think at some points I wanted to join the military because of my father's influence, as well as my uncle was also in the army. So I think that was a one kind of aspiration I during a certain age. And I think towards the latter part, I wanted to become a lawyer because of my mother's influence. So I think it varied. So I wanted to become so many things at so many different times.
I'm sure we can learn about what you eventually became from those many ideations that you had to be growing older. But before we get to that, I have a very important question to ask you. In school, did you get all A's in your subjects?
No, because I think it was not A's. I think back then it was for O levels it was D's, and then A levels it was A's. So I think let's put it this way: up to my ordinary levels, I think I was safely within like the top 10 of the class, and then I think something like that. And then of course I had around 6 distinctions in my OL or my ordinary levels. I think when it came to A levels, I think I had the opportunity to select the subjects that I really like and I was strong in. So I think I did economics, political science, kind of classic. So latter part during my advanced levels, I think I was able to excel. So I did become the first in the class, as you may say. I mean, right throughout my A level, that 3 years in our school, it was 3 years, and I think I also had won almost all the prizes for those subjects as well. So I think so that's in a nutshell of what happened. To answer your question, it was a B's and A's, but maybe not straight, but it was there.
Oh, so you were a very studious child back then.
You can say to extent.
No, I mean, being in the top 10 is a big thing actually.
Okay.
So, we have a comment from Mr. Sure. Well done. Thank you very much. So my next question to you is, when did you become interested in marketing and branding? Like, what was the point where you decided to go for marketing and branding?
Yeah, I think that's I think very interesting story. I think, when I was in my advanced level classes, I was in the art section.
Yeah.
And I think I can't remember actually when, maybe like 1999 or 2000, I believe, around that time, one of my classmates, one of my friends actually was walking towards the class. In his hand, he was carrying some booklets. I still remember seeing a lot of colorful logos on that book. I still remember the Shell logo. I still remember I think the Virgin Atlantic logo. I remember Coca-Cola logo. I think, and I actually happened to ask him, like, what's this book? Can I see what is it? Then he gave it to me. So actually, this was the main booklet that at the time, I mean, many years ago, that CIM used to give prospective, students, like, when you go to inquire about the CIM course study, they used to give this book. And I think that's my first sort of interaction when it came to something. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what these brands were. I didn't know what marketing was. But that's my first, I guess, my interaction and my attraction to the profession about 20 plus years ago. So that's my first thing. And then actually a lot of adversity came from my mom, because like she wanted me to become a lawyer, taking after her. And then actually she was kind of disappointed when I said that I want to do marketing. And I get a point, because at the time, you're talking about 20 odd years ago, marketing was still getting recognized as a profession. It was not, it was not one of the professions, I guess. So still during that era, it was about being a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer. That kind of a situation was the backdrop. So I had a lot of convincing to do, and I succeeded at times, failed at times, but then again I was very strong in my wishes to continue that. So I did. With a certain amount of negativity or positivity, you may call it, but I still pursued. I still went ahead, and I still think that's the best decision that I made for myself.
So that's how you gained the initial interest into branding, when you ran into that friend carrying the booklet, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's the first. That's actually the first interaction with something called marketing. I would learn this somewhere down the line later on. But yeah, that's my first.
Theoretically, if you didn't run into that friend carrying the booklet, who knows what would have happened after that?
Well, yeah, could have been an interesting turn. Maybe I would have.
You could have been a lawyer by now, or something.
I would have become a lawyer. I would have become a lawyer, most probably.
So after that, what was the first job that you got?
First job, actually, I actually happened to do the first stage of CIM while I was still in school. So now, because in our school, I was a college prefect, so we had to stay the extra year for the big match and all that. So I decided to make use of this time, because I had already done my ALS. So I used this time I was spending in school, because I was not going to class. So I studied CIM, went for classes, and then actually CIM stage 1 I got through when I was in school. I was about 19 years, I think, at the time. Then I finished the 2 stages. It was at the time 3 stages. And then my first job was actually at Elephant House. It's a brand that I think maybe a lot of kids as well as a lot of older generations know Elephant House. So that's my first job. Actually, I was given opportunity to join Elephant House as the trainee brand manager. So 4 of us were selected. I was one of the lucky 4 to get selected out of so many aspiring applicants. So that's my first job, and that's what really opened the world of marketing, I guess.
So it was an accident, the way you got into the job?
Well, no. Actually, what happened is, this also happened through a friend. See, usually we tend to check the newspapers at that time for vacancies only on Saturday, only on Sundays. Sunday Observer, Sunday Times used to carry all the top vacancies. So I was looking at these papers for a possible opening to get in, when one day one of my friends called me, one of my school friends, and said that his dad had seen a particular vacancy that would have been interesting in that. I think it was a daily news, I think, at the time. So then I quickly bought that paper and I checked the vacancy and I saw it and I applied for it. So that's how I ended up with that job. So again, you may ask me what if my friend's father didn't see that paper advertisement, whether I would have ended up with Elephant House. I don't know. Maybe, I guess not.
At the time, did you have any role models?
See, in marketing, no, because I was still very new to the game, and I really didn't know what it was. Although I studied marketing 3 stages before I got my first job, I didn't really understand what this job was all about, to be very honest. So the first role model, I think, was my not my immediate boss, but it was a gentleman called Mr. Walpola, and I think he was a director sales and marketing at Elephant House, and I think he's one gentleman that I really looked up to, and amazing human being, and he really looked after us. Our training program of 1 year, he really looked after us, trained us, gave us opportunities, and I think still to date, I think my management style, I think, got kind of hardwired with his style. So I always, when I meet him, I used to tell him that Mr. Walpole, I think your style of management has, got into my system completely. So I think he's the one person, I think, in my career, the first person that I really looked up to and kind of sort of like try to emulate, so to say.
I see. We have some comments here. One from Mr. Richard Jerick. Congratulations. So we have some congratulations from the crowd. We have some applause. So your first role model was kind of like your almost your first boss.
Not
your
my
very
immediate
first boss, but like one of the bosses that you were
one of the actually he was my boss's boss. Let's put it that way.
bosses. Okay.
Boss. Yeah.
So you were in the corporate world for a long time. Very long time.
Yeah, I mean, before I stepped here, it was like 16 years.
16 years.
16 years.
Okay, so what was the role that you played in exactly? How many roles and what were the roles that you played in it?
It was pretty much into one profession. I think it was pretty much into marketing. I didn't sort of steer away from it at any point. So it was all along in marketing. So as I said, I started as a trainee brand manager at Elephant House. Then after completing my training and after a few months, I got opportunity to join Selling Life, Selling Insurance. And then as a brand manager, so I used to work there, I think, for about 2 years, I think. And I got another opportunity to work in a large commercial bank, Nations Trust Bank, as the marketing manager. I think that was in 2006. And I think around 2007, actually, I was promoted as a senior manager marketing. And I think that was kind of a significant moment. I think I was only 26 years old. And I think that was a record at the time at the bank, because the average senior manager's age should have been about 40, I believe. So at 26, I became a senior manager in a private commercial bank. So I think since then, took up different roles. Like I also was, exposed to banking, finance, and then I was at my last stint was at Richard Paris, better known as Apico, where I headed the retail sector marketing plus the group brand, corporate communications, public relations. So it was very much in one direction. It was very much related to marketing roles, but industries changed. So I would have started with FMCG with Elephant House. Moved to insurance, moved to banking, finance, a little bit of healthcare, retail. With Richard Paris, I was also involved with manufacturing, then tires, plantation. So quite diverse, but all along in marketing.
So you have made a lot of big achievements as of your during the time. Like for your age, you became a senior manager, younger than most other senior managers would have gotten. So you have made quite a lot of achievements, right?
Yeah, I guess so, because I was actually quite fortunate to be in good companies and was given good opportunities, and actually I took all the opportunities given with both hands, so to say, and managed to do my best. So I think success also, as you say, followed with different companies.
So your main interest was at the time, still your main interest was like branding, right? You were very interested in branding.
Yeah, you could say so. Actually, I could have moved to different directions in my career, but I was given opportunities. But I decided to stick to marketing because I was very passionate about it. For me, it was not just a job. It's more like a lifestyle. It was more like a passion. I enjoyed doing it. So I think that's some key thing. I didn't go to work considering it's a job. I went to work because I loved doing what I did. So I think that would be the reason why I was not interested to move into any other direction in any of these companies.
So have you taken any brands out of Sri Lanka?
Well, that was always in the back of my mind to create my own brand, and then hopefully to to take it out of the war. Not to say that not to not do it in Sri Lanka, but I had this aspiration of taking it overseas, making it a kind of a global kind of a thing. So around 2017, I started toying with this idea. Then actually I was trying to put something up, and then with a lot of discussions, I spoke to a lot of people, a lot of my friends, a lot of my associates, colleagues. And then I found the path of getting into retail and at that food and beverage, because it's a very big market. If you take anywhere in the world, food and beverage retail market is a very big market. So actually I thought this is the zone that I really want to get into. And then the brand that I conceived along with my team was the Island Tico brand. So that's what you have put in your flyer as well, and that's what you see here. So that was the brand that we created, and actually we created it in Sri Lanka, but we launched it in Philippines. We bought it out in 2017, and we launched the product and the business in Philippines as a retail brand.
So that was a success.
Yeah. We started with one branch in a mall, and then to date we have more than I think 145 branches. We have diversified into different areas. Like we started with tea, then we moved to coffee, then we moved to food. So we cover pretty much of all parts of Philippines. We have also started back. We actually went back to our roots in Sri Lanka. In month of May, we opened in Sri Lanka as well. Then we are opening in India. Then we're opening in Ireland. We have already opened in Dubai. So we have slowly, kind of progressed on this path.
So when did you get into entrepreneurship? Now this is all about branding and getting your own brand out now. And I know that you're an entrepreneur as well. So when did you get into entrepreneurship?
Actually, that happens at the same time creating the brand, because this brand is what we created, and that was the business model. So no sooner you create this brand, you got this opportunity, you create the opportunity of kind of setting up the business and driving it from there. So I think it sort of started moving from a marketing direction to an entrepreneur journey. So this is where I think marketing meets the real world in terms of conceiving something and then finding a market, putting it there, and then putting all your life savings and backing that plan, and then doing whatever is possible, hoping it's going to work. So I think that's the change from marketing, creating the brand, and then when you create your own brand, you are pushed into becoming an entrepreneur, whether you like it or not. So that's the switch that happens automatically at some point.
That's how it came to you in your own way.
Yes. So it happens by chance. So when you create the brand, you have to take it to market, and then you have no one else but you, and you need to do it. You have to put your team together, and you have to achieve this.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Island Tico brand that you made. So can you explain to me what exactly is Island Tea Company?
Island Tico is a retail beverage brand. The specialty being our recipes are very diverse. Actually, it's catering to different target audiences, say from teenagers right up to senior citizens. The products are very popular beverage recipes that are very popular in Southeast Asian markets. So actually, it's a cross between a traditional tea house and a modern tea beverage business. So I think the main thing is here is the tea product. The tea product we use is all Ceylon tea from Sri Lanka. So from the very first branch right up to now, we exclusively use only Ceylon tea in our business model. So we don't use any other teas from any parts of the world. So that's a significant difference that we try to create.
What kind of tea do you have, like tea flavors?
We do carry a lot of flavors. Actually, we have 20 to 25 proprietary assets, blends that belong to us, flavors and blends that belong to us. So we bring those teas down, and then we mix it with other ingredients, and we create our own signature recipe. So even in a branch that we opened in Sri Lanka recently, we do the same thing. So the same menu that you find in any part of other operations in Philippines or Dubai, we have the same thing in Colombo as well. So you have the bubble teas, you have the fruit teas, you have the cold milk tea variants, you have the cream cheese teas, you have the brown sugar teas.
Sorry,
you have various kind of teas.
You have cream cream cheese tea.
Yes, cream cheese milk tea. So those are very different kind of products that are not available in Sri Lanka. So those are all new things.
Sorry for like completely barging your sentence like that, but
No
cream
problem.
cheese, cream cheese milk teas. I have never heard of something like that. So
Yeah, actually, that's the unique. Lot of Sri Lankans have grown up with tea, but they have not had the opportunity of having tea served in a cold form. So the main products that we carry, we have the tea that are served in hot form as well, but the main products we carry, as all the teas are carried in cold form. So you have the Oreo cream cheese milk tea. So with Oreo biscuits and all that. So you have Nutella milk tea. So these are all cold form drinks. So these are appealing to different target audiences as well.
So everybody wants to export packaged tea. Now, what made you think of setting up a retail drinking outlet? Like, how did you think of that?
Yeah, because see, anyway, my goal was to set up a retail brand. A retail brand in the sense directly dealing with consumers. Not a B2B or a business to business kind of a model where you trade commodities. What happens now in Sri Lanka, if you look at most of the products that we have, we are in commodity trading. We don't value add. So this is the problem. So when you do commodity trading, someone would buy your product and take it to other markets. They will rebrand it, they will brand it, and sell it at premium prices. So the Sri Lankan exporter or rather the person involved in the trading may not achieve the highest margins. So when you value add the product and when you create a brand and when you value add through the brand, you get to control a higher share of the margins. So I think so that was all along the plan to engage with directly engage with consumers. So that's why we went to retail, and then we are on a ready to drink on premise or a dine-in format.
So, what countries is this island Tico in?
Right now, we are predominantly in Philippines. We opened in Dubai during the height of the COVID. We also we are opening in India around around July to August. It's going to be a master franchise. So we will see about 150 stores coming up in India within a 3 to 4 year period. So that's both for tea as well as coffee. Now we have a coffee brand as well, which we started last year called Ceylon Coffee Club. Again, the specialty is that all the coffee beans for this product is also Sri Lankan coffee. So we have been importing Sri Lankan coffee as well, along with the tea. So India is a big market that we are opening up in July to August. So and then we also in Ireland as well. So we'll be opening in Ireland for tea and coffee, both around September to October period. So those are the main markets that we have identified right now.
So if somebody is getting into the retail business, what advice do you have for them?
Well, retail is an area that you might choose because it has a lot of especially food and beverage retail. It's where a lot of money is kind of spent by a lot of, most countries, most consumers, they eat and drink, they dine out, they have this need. So actually it's a big market. But I think the main thing is whatever the product that you bring out, it should have some unique aspects to it. So it should be unique, it should be special, and you also have to make sure that the quality is there, so that consumers come back to you. So you have repeat purchasing happening because see, most of the new things that are started over some time are not sustainable because initially you have customers, then later on the customers do not make repeat purchasing. So then that becomes a problem for sustainability of your business. So I think you must identify something very unique, something which is owned by the brand or the business owner, which you can scale and make it sustainable.
Okay, so if there's anybody who was watching in the audience who was trying to get into retailing, I hope you got something out of that, out of what Mr. Minodh had to say to you. So now if somebody wants to take a Sri Lankan product, this is also related to that. So if somebody wants to take a Sri Lankan product to a different market, what does he have to consider in that? Like things like quality, brand name, what are the things he has to consider to take it out of Sri Lanka?
Yeah, there are a lot of things to consider, especially when you're going out of the country. A lot of things to consider because first you have to shortlist which country you're getting into. and every country has it's very technical. Every country has something called corporate structuring. So to start an entity in a different country, you have to get through legal barriers, because different countries have different laws when it comes to incorporating companies, especially foreign entities, foreign companies. They have restrictions placed in. So that's one thing you need to consider. How much of ownership that you can have with your incorporation. Then you also have things like language barriers to import certain products, especially if it's a Sri Lankan product. So that means you have to pull the product into that country wherever it may be. So you must look at importation restrictions. If it's a food and beverage product, food and drug authority licenses. So a lot of technical things to sort of keep in mind. Apart from that, I mean, on the marketing point of view, there should be a clear product and a clear product with a unique facet to it for it to make a kind of inroad in that market.
So, audience, if you're listening, I hope you are listening well, because this is very valuable information for you if you're interested in this field. So, Mr. Minodh, Identico is in many countries with how many outlets again?
We have more than 140 plus right now. I think 142.
Okay. How did you scale how did you scale up to that point?
Well, the model that we operated was, we got into a franchise model. So see, in the franchise model, we first set up our own branches, but then we get into franchising. So we allow other business owners, other entrepreneurs to sort of use our business model. So it's a system. So they are given our product, they are given our training, they are given the know-how, they are given the design guidelines of the branch, they are given the operating manuals. So they are given an entire system to operate that product. It can be different islands, it can be different regions, different countries. So that's the model that we adopted, which allowed us to scale very fast. And to be able to franchise, you need to have very scalable model. So meaning it should be easily accessible, the ingredients should be easily purchased. You should be able to operate it in any part of the country or in most parts of the world. So it should be very scalable. So if you have a very scalable concept, definitely you can adopt the franchising model as well.
Okay. So audience, once again, I hope you're listening to what Mr. Minodh had to say. You got an idea about how he scaled. So, Mr. Minodh, why do people franchise instead of opening their own outlets?
They franchise because you see, in certain in most parts of the world, franchising is generally seen as an investment tool. I think in Sri Lanka it's not that widely known and widely accepted, but in most parts of the developed world, it's considered an investment tool. So same way you go to a bank and put a fixed deposit or something like that. Most people, especially in countries the interest rates are very low, consider opening their own franchise businesses, because they would invest in a business that is already set and running. It has been in the market, say, for a certain number of years. So it's a tried and tested model. It should be sustainable. It should have a good supply chain line coming through. It should be unique, as I earlier said. So when these things are fulfilled, you have other investors franchising your business, and they will operate it, say, close to their town or close to where they live or work, and they would run that business, and obviously they run it to get a profit at the end of the day. So they want a return on investment. So it's called ROI. So instead of putting money in a bank, so they would opt for this, because the ROI is much more higher than the interest they would get if they put their money in a bank. So this is, in a nutshell, why the franchising market is kind of big in most parts of the world.
Okay. Once again, audience, I hope you are listening to that, because it's very valuable information. Now, that was about why people franchise instead of opening their own outlets. Now, from you personally, I think I want to hear, and I'm sure the audience also wants to hear, what is your advice to a Sri Lankan brand that wants to scale their business into other countries? Like, what is your deep personal, like, from all the experience you've gathered, what's the best advice you can give? The best.
The best advice is that the Sri Lankan brands or Sri Lankan businesses can be taken outside the country. I think that's something that should be very clearly established, that there was a perception, or maybe there is a perception even now, that especially among in the Sri Lankan market, that only large corporations can venture out of the country. Some might assume that you have to be a large conglomerate or a company that has been in business for like many years for you to be able to go out of the country. So actually, it's not the case. I mean, the clear message is that as long as you have a unique product, as long as you have something very strong in your hand, and as you can really take it out of the country and establish it in a foreign market. But you need to have that mindset that there'll be a lot of obstacles that you need to overcome to do this. It's not going to be easy. It's easier said than done, but definitely it can be done. So I think that assurance is something that we look to give, because we are a company that have done it. So I think that's an example that we can share. Is that, I mean, as long as you have a strong concept and a model and a unique product which you control, you definitely can do it out of the country.
So throughout your entire journey, all the things that you have been through, your many years of experience in the industry, and all these years, after all this time, this very long journey that you had, what were the difficulties and challenges that you faced? The most prominent challenges?
Is it during the island tea story, or you mean in general?
In general, like what was the most prominent problem and challenge that you had?
I mean, different times. I think in different stages in one's life, I think there are problems and there are challenges that come in. So I think sometime when you look back now, many years ago, the problem that was there is not a problem if it had happened now. So I guess it's also to do with the situation you are in and the age you are in when the problem happens, and your maturity that you have to sort of deal with the problem. So I think I can't pinpoint to say that this was the biggest problem, but I think in general, different situations, like say, even if you're in a corporate sector, you run into problems, you run into challenges. And even if you get to the entrepreneur side of the world, you still have problems, you run into challenges. So I think there's no greater problem, but there are always challenges and obstacles. So it's just that how you deal with them as you move forward.
So about the Sri Lankan brands that want to go into international markets, what mistakes should they avoid? Since you may have had the experiences, what mistakes should they avoid? Like what should the store not do to avoid this?
One mistake is that when coming out of the country, you have to really select your business partners as well, because one common occurrence in a lot of people trying to venture out of the country, and I think also that's the fear that most of people have, is that there are a lot of opportunities that you might not work with the correct partners, and then when you don't take care of these aspects, you end up losing all your investment. So I think that's one main thing that you need to keep in mind. You have to first understand who you're getting into business with, because when you go into other countries, especially, you need to network. You have to use a certain network in those countries, because you can't suddenly get into a foreign market and start operating a business. You can't do that. So you have to choose your partners very correctly. You have to choose your advisors very correctly. Your legal advisors, it can be accounting or taxation advisors. You have to use these people, and you have to use very, very carefully, because that's one pitfall you want to avoid. And secondly, I think you need to have a clear game-changing product on your hand. Not all products are going to be successful overseas. So you have to first study that market you're getting into. You have to study the industry you're getting into, and you have to make sure that you have a very successful business model, a unique product, a supply chain you control, and something you can sustain over time. So if you can fulfill this, then you can get into foreign market. If you don't have these on hand, there are chances that you can easily go to a foreign market, and you can also fail at the same time.
Okay. So you personally, you are operating in a world market, right?
Yeah.
So now I have something important regarding the kids of this country. The kids who may have a future in marketing section. So something like that. So what skills do children need for the future? What is your advice for them?
Well, mainly I think greatly the education system and the curriculum should change with the modern times. I think there are very little things that I think would apply sometimes when you look back at the curriculum and looking at now. very little things apply now. Yeah, I mean, in this, say, you can say in this adult world, I mean, very little things apply now. But I think it's the sort of the background and the upbringing you get from your schooling system, your educational system, that would put you on the right path. So, for example, I really encourage almost all kids to get into extracurricular activities. It's very, very important. Like, getting into clubs, association, getting into sports, that kind of thing, because it's very important part that you do not get with academics. So that's very important. Some of these skills that you learn through this, which might be very, very valuable for you, down the line in your career. It has happened to me. So it was very valuable for me, especially the leadership opportunities you get in school. In your colleges and universities, I think those are very valuable down the road in time to come. So I think those things also should be encouraged greatly beyond the traditional study methods as well.
I agree because I personally also, I'm also doing sports, different sports. I do extracurricular activities, singing, playing musical instruments. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
That's
It has helped me a lot. So
it will make you a more rounded individual, and it will give you a lot of exposure. That's very, very vital for future.
actually, I personally have a question. Now, how did you choose the flavors for the tea? Because there are a lot of cultural differences, no?
Yeah, actually, when we came to Philippines, we brought a certain series of products, and I think when we tried and tested them in the market, we had to change a lot. So I think that's the part of the learning curve. I mean, when you bring products into a different market, some products are appealing, some are not. So you quickly have to sort of put it into the market. You need to make necessary changes, adjustments. Until you fine tune and get the perfect model or the perfect product or the perfect mix. So that's something that we did. Actually, we bought, say, I think we started with more than 40 product lines. I think more than 40 product lines. Then we scaled it down. We selected the best, and we and also given the supply chain or the logistical challenges as well. So we had to streamline the products. So I think now we set it down to about 20 to 25, that kind of range. So market to market, this might change. So certain markets, certain products are very popular. No, in certain markets, certain products are not very popular. So again, it depends on market and the consumer palate. So we always make it flexible. We are flexible in terms of market. We start with our standard products, and then depending on the nature of the consumer demands, we change and we make new products. We put it in. We adjust certain products. We adjust certain flavors according to the market. So it's a part of the product process.
Okay. So is Sri Lankan tea very popular? Even in the other countries, I mean, like, I'm sure it's very popular.
Yeah, because
is there a reason?
No, I mean, Ceylon tea has been synonymous world over since the 1800s. Since the British started tea, I think Ceylon tea had a very special place in the world over. So it actually helped us carrying the Ceylon tea and the brand that it has built over 150 years. That also helped us a lot. And the product, the Ceylon tea, I mean, when we used it with different kind of ingredients, like as I said, like with cream cheese or with brown sugar or with bubble tea or those tapioca pearls or whatever, still the flavor comes out fantastically. The uniqueness, the flavor, I mean is enjoyed by all our customers in different parts of different countries where we operate in. So that's the beauty of the agricultural crops, like the tea, as well as not only the tea, even the coffee. We bring the Sri Lankan coffee, and even some customers say that it's better than Starbucks. So that's the beauty of those products. Sri Lankan tea, Sri Lankan coffee. Actually, the world has yet to embrace these products. So I think we need to do a lot more to take these products out and to make it. To take it more closer to the consumers in different parts of the world, and because those are wonderful products, and those are enjoyed by a lot of customers, different countries, different nationalities. It's very widely accepted.
And to promote this, you're using a technology like digital form of technology, or are you using the traditional method?
Well, it's a mix of both. I mean, you have to use some traditional. Yeah, it's a mix of both. I mean, because different consumer segments can be approached different in different marketing tools. So you have to use a bit of traditional, you have to definitely use digital models as well. So it's actually a mix of both. The digital might appeal to the younger audiences, more younger people, and then different models like say Facebook can appeal to a different segment. Instagram can appeal to a different segment. So LinkedIn can appeal to different segments. So different segments are covered with this the marketing mix or the model. So I guess it's a mix of both. You have to blend both to reach your audiences.
Okay, I think that's all the questions I have for you personally, and that's we got some questions from the audience as well, and we have managed to answer them also. So with that, I would first like to thank the audience. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching the live session and sticking with us until the end. And you, Mr. Minodh De Sylva, thank you very much for dedicating your time, and I'm sure it took a lot of you are a very busy person, I know that. So you taking your time to appear on the show and help the people who are watching and help me also gain an insight to your life and how you became successful. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Natila, for having me, and it was a pleasure joining your show. And keep up the good work. And I think you have done fantastically well over the years. I've been also watching your programs, and you have interviewed some fantastic people. And I think you are a good example for the kids as well. How to blend education with other activities such as this. So thank you very much for having me, and thanks to the audience for listening in.
Okay, thank you.